Dear guests, the next panel discussion is the next day of capital markets, digitalization, FinTech, and crypto assets. Please take your seat while our speakers prepare for the panel.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. First of all, let me just say that it's a great pleasure for me to be here today, this morning, and I would like to warmly thank the organizers of the Cyprus Forum for their kind invitation. Are we going to show the... Okay. So on behalf of CYSEC, the Cyprus Securities and Exchange Commission, allow me to share with you some thoughts on how we see the development of capital market digitalization, the area of financial technology, and the rapidly evolving field of crypto assets or digital assets. At CYSEC, our vision has always been and is clear to enhance the Cyprus securities market and make it one of the safest, most reliable and innovative investment destinations in Europe and internationally, and we strive to exercise effective supervision that protects the investors, ensures transparency, and supports a healthy market development. This vision guides every step we take as we embrace the challenges posed by digital transformation of financial services. So Cyprus has become a recognized financial center within the European Union. The latest data that we have, August of 2025, CYSEC supervises 815 regulated entities. This includes crypto investment firms, which is our biggest market, administrative service providers, the ones that are not under the Bar Association or the accountants, fund management companies, different types of funds, the listed entities, the stock exchange, the central securities depository of the stock exchange, and increasingly now we have new categories, for example, the new regulation on the crypto asset service providers and the crowdfunding platforms. And this landscape shows both the diversity and the complexity of our market, and Cyprus remains an important part of a financial ecosystem which is continually undergoing rapid technological transformation as digitalization reshapes the very foundations of international capital markets. Now, over the last decade, financial services have already been profoundly reshaped by technology, and we see no sign of this trend abating. In fact, if anything, it appears to be gaining pace with the widespread adoption of artificial intelligence, machine learning, building upon established trends that we already had in the adoption, for example, of blockchain or distributed ledger technologies, the robo-advisors, algorithmic trading, and data analytics. And added to this mix is the shifting investor demographic driven by the increasing prevalence of the social trading platforms. And as we see now, we have many young and inexperienced participants in the financial markets, which obviously entails certain risks. Now, while such innovations, they bring clear benefits, greater efficiency, accessibility, and new investment products, they also create new vulnerabilities or risks. One of the most striking vulnerabilities arises from the growing influence of social media driven investments, and often referred to as the power of the fin-influencers or the financial influencers. These investors, often young and inexperienced, are increasingly influenced by online messaging platforms or aggressive marketing campaigns. Smartphones, mobile apps have widened access to the markets, but they have also made risk-taking easier, often pushing unwary and inexperienced investors towards speculative products with little protection. And this is an area where our role as regulators is crucial to strike a balance between enabling innovation, but at the same time safeguarding investors. Now, let me talk very briefly about the regulatory framework. The European Union has responded with a series of important reforms related to the new forms of finance. One such reform is MiCA, Markets in Crypto Assets Regulation, a landmark legislative act in Europe, the first major jurisdiction that came with this legislative act, which came into force on January 1st of this year. So MiCA provides Europe with a single unified rulebook for crypto assets and their service providers. It enhances transparency, investor protection, and legal certainty. It also provides the passporting of services, enabling firms to operate across the European Union with one license from one member state. But MiCA is also a challenge. Ensuring its consistent application across member states is critical to avoid market fragmentation. The tight authorization deadlines also for service providers, combined with the complexity of their structures, their business models, has made the licensing process demanding. Nevertheless, MiCA is provided a decisive step towards a safer market for cryptos. It's also important to stress that MiCA is only the starting point in this industry. Certain areas, such as, for example, non-fungible tokens or DeFi, decentralized finance, remain outside of its scope. Also, while outside the European Union, regulation remains fragmented, with investors remaining exposed to high risks. Another key legislation is DORA, the Digital Operational Resilience Act. Came into force in January 17th of this year. It requires all financial entities to have a strong safeguards against cyber attacks and ICT risks. And this is obviously a huge area now, which doesn't only affect the regulated entities under CYSEC, but it involves all players in the financial services industry, including insurance companies, including pension funds, and including banks as well. And then we have the AML package, a package of legislative acts, which includes the 6th AML directive, the 6th AML regulation, the transfer of funds regulation, and AMLA, the Anti-Money Laundering Authority, a new authority that was established recently in Frankfurt to create a uniform framework for AML across the member states. And all of these package, the idea is obviously to combat money laundering and terrorist financing, and it extends rules to crypto transactions as well. And finally, the MiFIR review and EMIR refit aim to improve, which relates to obviously the investment firm services, aim to improve transparency, the oversight of the trading data, and the resilience of the EU clearing houses. And just to mention that we have also a host of regulations and legislative acts related to sustainability and ESG. So all of these reforms show that the EU is building a regulatory framework where innovation meets accountability, ensuring growth is matched with responsibility. Now, what we do at CYSEC, we are aligned with this European direction by strengthening our supervision, and we are investing in new tools. We have adopted a risk-based supervisory approach, combining on-site inspections with advanced data analytics. In 2024 alone, more than 850 on-site and remote thematic audits were carried out. Where misconduct is found, CYSEC imposes fines, requires corrective measures, or even suspends and revokes licenses. We're investing in RegTech systems powered by AI and cloud computing, which allow us to process and analyze large volumes of trading data, spot irregularities early, and take proactive actions. We also use specialized systems to monitor online marketing and social media of regulated firms in real time, and this can detect misleading campaigns before they cause harm. Last year, we launched our regulatory sandbox, which evolved from the innovation hub that we had in the past. It provides the FinTech startups and crypto service providers with a controlled environment to test their products under supervision. The sandbox enhances dialogue between regulators and innovators and allows us to anticipate risks before these new products reach the market. And finally, we also remain committed to financial literacy and education. As digitalization accelerates, a new generation of investors need to develop their knowledge and skills to navigate the new investment products. Without this, innovation risks deepen inequalities between those who understand and benefit and those who feel excluded. And I'm sure that you've seen all of our campaigns related to educating investors about the risks and the benefits, but mainly about the risks related to this area of digitalization. So, the next day of digitalization. What does the next day means for FinTech, crypto assets, and so on? Firstly, it's a day defined by balance. So we have to strike a balance between innovation on the one hand and market stability and financial stability, orderly functioning of the markets, and investor protection. Secondly, it's a day of collaboration. The challenges of crypto regulation, AI oversight, the cross-border aspects of finance cannot be solved in isolation. It demands cooperation among the regulators, European institutions, and international bodies. And this is what we are doing with organizations such as ESMA, IOSCO, the EBA, and so on, the Financial Stability Board, and so on. Thirdly, the next day will be one of resilience. Firms that lack adequate governance, compliance, and risk management, they will not survive. Supervisory priorities for us, such as investor protection, transparency, and robust controls remain at the heart of our work. And finally, the future must be inclusive and sustainable. Crypto assets and increasingly the area of tokenization can unlock new channels of financing for the real economy, especially for SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, and startups that have traditionally faced barriers to capital. If managed responsibly, these innovations can democratize access to investments and contribute to Euro's competitiveness. In closing, as we look ahead, one thing is clear. Digital transformation of our capital markets is not a distant prospect, it's here. FinTech, crypto assets, advanced technologies are reshaping the way we invest, trade, and interact with financial services. Within this transformation come tremendous opportunities for growth and inclusion, but also responsibilities that cannot be ignored. For regulators, the task is to ensure that innovation is matched with accountability and that technology becomes a source of trust rather than uncertainty. For firms, the challenge is to embrace these new tools while embedding strong governance, transparency, and investor protection at their core. And for investors, it's about navigating this new landscape with confidence, supported by effective regulation and financial education. The next day of digitalization will be defined by three elements: resilience, collaboration, inclusion. Only by working together, regulators, firms, innovators, the society as a whole, can we can build a financial ecosystem that is not only competitive, but also safe, transparent, and fair. So let us seize this moment to shape markets that foster innovation, safeguard the investors, and contribute to a stronger and more sustainable Europe. And with this, I would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you.